Do you ever wander through nature and wonder what lies beneath, waiting to be discovered? As an artist and sculptor, I love clay. Beneath the layers of soil and stone, there often lies nature's clay. A few years ago, we were strolling along this beautiful beach in Wales, toes sinking into the cool sand, when we stumbled upon a streak of velvety clay, almost hidden by the sea. We walked on. Ever since that day, I've wanted to return to forage for some natural clay. So today I make pottery from wild beach clay. My children are with me and they're always curious about the nature that lies around them. So we all search around with intrigue, trying to find some clay we can sculpt with, enjoying the playful nature of what's around us. Under my feet are these rocks which are so crumbly they just turn to dust. There seems to be a watercourse above here. The water has trickled down to form this little ledge, which I have a feeling contains a small amount of clay. Prime locations to look for natural clay are along streams and rivers or lakes where the water has eroded the ground or the banks to expose the underlying clay deposits, or coastal areas like this, and also construction sites where diggers have dug deeper into the earth. In the simplest of terms, clay forms from erosion. Hard igneous rocks like granite break down over time to produce tiny particles that add to the development of clay, containing minerals such as kaolinite. I take a handful of the material just to test it and see how it behaves. So far it's a little bit too crumbly and it's not getting very sticky on my fingers. So I think I have a little bit too much sand in this mixture, but it does actually form a nice little ball, which to me hints there's more clay not too far away. As you can probably see, this material is holding a fair amount of water, and clay holds water really well, so that's another really good sign. But it's not holding its shape well enough yet. I also try adding what I think is silt dust, as when you add water to this silt, it becomes really smooth and silky. A little messy, I know, but so relaxing and therapeutic to be able to come and play with what is the clay and the material on the beach. It feels quite nice, but we're not quite there yet. We searched along and scooped up another little handful of the beach, and this seems to hold its shape even better than the first batch. With this sample of clay, I would be able to filter out the clay, and this is something we did do with a small sample from the riverbank in England. I'll share that process with you in just a moment. Here at the beach, I had wanted to find enough clay where I could make 2 small pinch pots, add them together and make a beautiful vase from them, just as a demonstration. And however anything was turning out here today, I was having a really lovely day down at the beach. It felt really special on this occasion to be able to sit and really enjoy the nature and everything that was around us. We're often out for a walk out in nature, and my children naturally love to play in the streams. And they said on this occasion, I'm sure there's clay here. It really feels really silky and really clay-like. So we picked up just the tiniest amount to test it. To filter the clay, the idea is to add plenty of water, let the clay dissolve, and strain out any of the impurities like all the stones and the bits of leaves and twigs. Let it settle for a couple of hours once it's all strained, pour off any excess water off the top, and then leave it to harden. We're in the depths of winter when we did this. We left this bucket out for far too long. We're actually now in the summer. I'll share more of this with you in another video, as there's definitely clay in our backyard. I'm going to dig some of that up and repeat this process with that also. Back in Wales, we carried on the search to find some even purer clay. My son was enjoying experimenting, taking some rocks and making a mold with them. It was a fun addition to making sandcastles. My other son was really enjoying playing with the material on a rock and adding some textures to it with a seashell. I stepped over this part of the beach which just felt a little bit different underfoot, so I had to take a look. This top surface seems to be a little bit sticky and a little bit malleable, but then underneath the material is a different colour and that's a really good sign. Don't worry, I'm not destroying anything here. This is a part of the beach where the waves very often crash over and move this sediment about. I'm really intrigued by this dark section underneath. As I feel it, it's definitely got that element of smooth and lovely texture. So I'm excited to knead this together and see how it comes together. Just taking up a handful which someone could have easily just stepped over and cracked this amount off, with no intention to do any damage to the beach. It has a great texture, but it's quite dried out and it's very firm. So my son went to get me a bucket of seawater. Adding a little water, as you see, brings the clay really back to life. Gorgeous, silky clay. This is what we came to the beach to find. It holds its form really well. It's so easy to create a small pinch pot with this. A pleasure to work with and just the way nature intended it. Just like our ancestors would have really enjoyed creating with this. I've seen videos of people around the world collecting bucketfuls of wild clay, but here in the UK, under the Coastal Protection Act 1949, it is illegal to take home any materials from the beach, which is why I just have a handful of the clay here on the beach, which a foot could have easily eroded. And watch to the end to find out the fate of this clay. This wild clay is so pure, it's not grainy at all. It's a real pleasure to work with and it holds its shape so well. I normally use air dry clay in my videos as it's so accessible to all, but this clay just feels so different, it really does. Air dry clay falls much easier and doesn't hold its shape quite like this does. I've shaped it a little bit further. I didn't really have a plan, but I'm using a shell here just to cut it into shape. Adding some marks in also with the shell. It's a lovely warm day today, so I'll let the clay dry out just a little bit so that it hopefully goes a bit leather hard. While it sits and dries, I can wash my hands in the sea. A project really can be about the whole process and not necessarily the finished item. I've enjoyed experimenting and playing here in nature, but this belongs here at the sea, so off I float it back to sea. It will disintegrate and probably end up near enough where we took it from. I hope this has inspired you to get out in nature and to enjoy that playful nature of clay and everything to do with nature. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next creative video.